Hello everyone. In today's video, I will be discussing sulfonamides. Along with sulfonamide, I will discuss cotrimoxazole also. Now, cotrimoxazole is a combination drug. In this, one of the drug is sulfonamide, and that is why I will be discussing cotrimoxazole along with sulfonamide. So basically, I will discuss the introduction part. I will discuss the classification part. I will discuss the mechanism of action of both sulfonamide and cotrimoxazole. Also, I will discuss what are the advantages of cotrimoxazole and what are the preparations, various preparation of cotrimoxazole. So starting with the introduction of sulfonamides, we have the sulfonamide, which is basically a sulfanilamide derivative, or you can say it's a derivative of para-aminobenzene sulfonamides. Para-aminobenzene sulfonamide, which is nothing but sulfanilamide. So it's a derivative of sulfanilamide. Now, sulfonamides, they come under the nucleic acid synthesis inhibitor. So among the drugs which are used, that is the bacteria, there is one group which inhibits the nucleic acid synthesis, and that is also divided into indirect acting and direct acting. Indirect acting are those group of drugs which inhibits the formation or synthesis of folic acid, and that includes the sulfonamide and trimethoprim. The another group is the direct acting, which inhibits the topoisomerase 2 or 4 or has something to do with the DNA. So in that there is quinolones, fluoroquinolones, and the another is rifampin, which is our DNA dependent RNA polymerase inhibitor. So here we see that sulfonamide comes under the nucleic acid synthesis inhibitor indirect type. Now coming to the classification. See, the sulfonamide is being classified into the first systemic, then local, and then both. So drugs or the sulfonamides which act systemically are divided into short acting, intermediate acting, and long acting. So based on the duration of action, or basically you can say based on the plasma half-life, it is divided into short acting, intermediate acting, and long acting. The short acting has the duration of around 4 to 8 hours, it's a plasma half-life, and then we have the example like sulfadiazine. Next we have intermediate acting, the example is sulfamethoxazole, and then we have the long acting, which the example for which is sulfadoxine. Then we have the drugs which acts locally. Examples are sulfacetamide and silver sulfadiazine. And then the drugs which acts both systemically and locally, and the example is sulfasalazine. See, in many books you will see the classification based on the systemic and the other specialized action based on classification based on specialized action. In this systemic you will find this classification only, and in specialized action we will see the sulfacetamide and silver sulfadiazine. So this sulfacetamide, these are used for the eye infection and all, and silver sulfadiazine, these are used for the burn condition, and also you will see this sulfasalazine also. So this is the classification. Now coming to the mechanism of action. Now this sulfonamide or cotrimoxazole, they are called as sequential blockade. Sequential blockage. Why? We will see it. Now before coming to the mechanism or explaining the mechanism of the sulfonamide itself, I will just go through the pathway in general. We have pteridine. Pteridine is nothing but it's a heterocyclic chemical compound in which there are two cycles, fusion of two cycles. The first is pyrimidine and the second is pyrazine. So it's a fusion of two cyclic compound pyrimidine and pyrazine, and which becomes the pteridine. Now pteridine when combined with PABA, that is para-aminobenzoic acid. Here one important thing, I have already made a video especially on this para-aminobenzoic acid, the link of which I have given in the description box. So pteridine when combined with para-aminobenzoic acid, it converts to dihydrooctanoic acid in the presence of dihydrooctanoate synthase. Then from here, dihydrooctanoic acid in combination with glutamate, there is a formation of dihydrofolic acid. And dihydrofolic acid utilizes NADPH and then converts to tetrahydrofolic acid in presence of dihydrofolate reductase. So there are three enzymes, this and this at three different steps. And this tetrahydrofolic acid or the folic acids are utilized for the survival or important metabolic function of the microorganism. So when this is disrupted or inhibited at any junction, then the folic acid formation will be inhibited, and that's why the bacteria or the microorganism will be inhibited. So where do this sulfonamide act? Sulfonamide act over here. Sulfonamide act over here. So sulfonamide basically they are the PABA derivative, or they are the structural analog of PABA. You can see this is the structure of PABA. So the structure is mostly same. So this like structurally it is similar, and that's why it replaces the PABA, and that's why there is inhibition of the folic acid synthesis. Or this will inhibit the enzyme dihydrooctanoate synthase, so that the end result or the folic acid formation is inhibited. So this is how the sulfonamide acts. So it acts over this stage. Now I will start cotrimoxazole, or you can say cotrimoxazole. So it's cotrimoxazole, and it's a combination of two drugs, sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. With the name only you can get to know that this is made up of sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim in the dose ratio of 5:1. Now trim has come from this, and oxazole has come from here. So and co is together. So cotrimoxazole, it's a combination of sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim at the dose ratio of 5:1. Now coming to mechanism of action of the same drug. Now mechanism, this drug acts over this stage. This inhibits this stage. Cotrimoxazole inhibits the conversion of dihydrofolic acid to tetrahydrofolic acid by inhibiting the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase. So when you combine these two drugs, one act over this stage and another act over this stage, and this is called a sequential blockage pathway. So it's a classical example of sequential blockade, where one drug acts at this stage and another act at this stage and gives the bactericidal action. Now if you will give sulfonamide and trimethoprim alone, this will give the bacteriostatic action. So what I am discussing is advantage. So alone, if these are given, the trimethoprim or sulfamethoxazole, they are bacteriostatic in nature. But when it is combined together at this dose ratio, then they become bactericidal. So the effect is synergistic or supraadditive. So the effect increases when combined together, and the resistance is decreased. Usually it is found that the most of the indications or most of the microorganisms against which the sulfonamides were active some days before, the earlier days, now they have become inactive and resistance. So when you combine together, the resistance is decreased. So that is one of the advantages. The important mechanism through which resistance develop in sulfonamide are the increase in efflux system or decrease in affinity towards the dihydrooctanoate synthase, or there is uptake or there is some alternate method of preparing or making the folic acid. Now coming to the preparations. Preparations, the sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim if combined at the dose of 800 milligram and 160 milligram, that makes a double strength composition. Otherwise, this is available orally and intramuscularly. Sulfamethoxazole at 400 milligram and trimethoprim at 80 milligram are also available, that is single strength. This can be given orally and intravenously. Some pediatric preparation and suspension are also available at different dose ratio. So this was all about the sulfonamide and cotrimoxazole. Hope it was helpful for you. Thank you.